Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at Disney Plus with our weekly Q&A. So this is live on YouTube. We have got the live chat going on. Please let me know if you can hear me. That's always a good thing. So each week I do one of these live Q&As, and so everyone can watch it. However, YouTube channel members and patrons can submit questions in advance as a kind of big thank you for them sort of supporting the channel, supporting the podcast, and everything that goes along with it. If you would like to become a member, you can do so. And you can also use the Super Chat facility as well to send in questions if you don't fancy becoming a member. So we've got a number of different questions in already stacked up. And we've also got a number of people live here in the live chat. So I can see Baba Trolling. We've also got a brand new member with CL Town. So thank you very much for becoming a member. It's also Caleb's last it's the last Q&A before his birthday tomorrow, so a big happy birthday for tomorrow. And we've got Ice Cream Man in here as well, 616. We got Dana who say they can hear me, which is always a good thing. And then we've also got Joe and Stuart, so a big hello to all of you. So again, thank you very much, and let's jump into some of the questions. So what I'll do is, as we usually do, is we'll start off with some of the ones in advance, before we jump into the live chat. So if you've got any live questions that you want to ask me, please feel free to pop them into the comments. Okay, so let's jump in here now and jump into some of the early questions that came in advance. So Frank sent in a couple here. Actually, I'm going to do the Frank's last in a minute. I'm going to do these ones first because this is the ones that was the ones at the top. So Gavin Scott said, why are the UK a week behind Canada and Australia for only murders in the building? The inconsistency is just not justified. Then this then was followed with Connor asking, as Disney Plus continues to expand, do you think they will finally align their Disney Star international release schedules? It's so confusing that countries like Canada and Singapore are getting Star shows earlier than the UK. Now, I have got to admit, I think it is absolutely bonkers that they haven't seemed to have worked this out properly yet. It does feel like only murders in the building. Why is Europe getting it a week later than everybody else? Makes no sense. There's no real, I don't see any reason for it. It can't be any, I mean, maybe unless it's just a logistics issue. Maybe they want to hold it back a week. I don't really get why we were held back a week. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I still believe that there's a kind of a tendency to think, they still think very much like that country's there and that country's there and that country's there. And we don't see what's going on in each other's countries, and we're all still like the way it used to be. Social media makes it much harder now, and I think this is why like worldwide releases are so much easier. When they go onto social media and just say, this one's coming out on this date, we all know. We all know what's going on. We all know what's going to be happening. And I really just don't get it. I understand with some things, for example, like Reservation Dogs, where the show in Australia is on a different network. So in that case, it makes sense why they've not got it. But why Canada got it 1 week, and then New Zealand got it a couple of weeks later, and then the UK got it a couple of weeks later. Grownish was the same. Why not like sync up and treat them the same? I do think there needs to be a little bit more coordination of kind of saying, especially if they're a Hulu show. I mean, it's like Dope Sick. You know, why that show has been held back for Disney Plus Day for the rest of the world when the US got it earlier this week. Doesn't make any sense. You know, the finales aren't all going to line up. I know in an ideal world, it would make sense for everyone to be on the same page, and I think it should be. And the Disney Plus originals kind of show that they can do it, which makes it even more annoying because they can do it. It would be worse if Disney Plus originals weren't doing it, then you'd be like, well, there must be some issues. I fully get the concept of like if they can't do it because there's an additional contract, you know, maybe Big Sky can't air in Canada, for example, but why not give it to the rest of us at the same time? Are they trying purposely to hold us back a little bit because they don't want confusion over on social media of maybe like Americans thinking that it's on Disney Plus? Maybe that is an issue that they're worried about. But yeah, it does feel very odd. Why they're not doing this, you know, why Big Sky season 2 isn't available yet, I don't know. You know, you would think that it would, you know, it would make sense for it to be in line with the US. I know sometimes with the US they used to have a thing where, you know, they have mid-season breaks, and us Brits aren't so used to that. So, but then we'll get used to it because that's what we'll just get used to it because that's the way it is. It is extremely frustrating. I find it very frustrating that essentially, different people are watching it at different times, and then they can do on one day they can release the same thing, and then on another. I don't know. It's so frustrating why they can't do it. And I really wish they would kind of get their act together of maybe go, right, okay, because every country looks like it's got its own, different team kind of running everything. So it's kind of a little bit of mix up between that. But just get everything a little bit more together. I don't know, especially with originals. I especially find this with like the Disney Channel shows and the maybe not necessarily National Geographic. Let's start off with the Disney Channel shows. We don't have the network here, so just make them hand them over to the originals team and say like, right, okay, they're originals now. The rest of the world have them as originals. I mean, it'd be easier if America did it as well, but it is just so frustrating why the international releases are so all over the place. I'm sure if it was the other way around, people wouldn't, it wouldn't go down very well if the shoes were the other foot of like the whole of the world got only Murders in the Building and we were 1 week ahead of the US. It wouldn't, a load of people would be complaining. It's bad enough with the Marvel movies when, they come out here in the UK maybe a couple of days before it. But I just find it's very strange how they're doing it. Why they aren't aligning their content better. And they've got shows like Queens coming out on ABC. Like, why is the rest of the world not getting it on the same week? I mean, I can understand a day or two for the Wednesdays or the Fridays, but why do that? The Wonder Years. Why are we holding back? Why are they holding back the Wonder Years? Maybe they're holding it back for the winter. I don't know. It just seems such a strange way of just like not keeping up with the US pace. I wish I had a good valid reason for it, but it's so random. It's completely impossible to predict because every show is different. You just never know what's going on. I mean, like why The Last Man? Why are we a week or two behind? It just, I don't know. It's very frustrating. It is very, very frustrating. Let's jump in and do a couple of live ones. So Bubba said, if the Hocus Pocus reviews are good, can we get a Nightmare Before Christmas rebooted? I'm sure they probably would do. I view them very much in different lights. Nightmare Before Christmas, could they do a live action version? Maybe they could do, if they redid it, but did it like CGI, like other movies, would it look as good? Or personally, just leave it alone. Maybe don't bother. Don't, at least with like Hocus Pocus 2, it is a sequel rather than a remake. But yeah, I don't really think, I think a sequel would be better, but do it in the same style. So that would definitely be things. Joe said, can we see Big Sky coming to Disney Plus UK and Ireland in November? I'm hoping so. I'm really hoping so, that we get it, at least get in line with the US at some point. Ice Cream Man 616 said Big Sky is still in Canada. Is it on there now, or is it, because I know they were going to add it in the summer and I got a little bit delayed. So there's quite a few things. Frank said, since the live action Dora is distributed by Fox in Italy, if it's distributed by them, then they could put it on there. Could it come to distribute? Yeah, so yes, it could do. Ice Cream Man 616 says Big Sky season 1 is not even in Canada yet. Well, it's funny because they did announce it earlier this year that it was going to be coming. It was going to get the whole bunch at once, but not getting them all at like the same way. It is just kind of quite weird how all of that worked out. Right. So Joe said, could we ever see Bob Burgers air on Disney Plus UK and Ireland in the future? Because Family Guy being shown exclusively on Disney Plus in November. Who's showing Bob's Burgers right now in the UK? Who's had it recently? I'll have to have a look. But I do know, for example, in Canada, this past Wednesday, the first 2 episodes of the new season dropped. They didn't announce anything. They didn't do anything with it. They just dropped it. And I think down in Australia last year, they had the same thing. They haven't actually I don't think they fired it up yet. And Ice Cream Man was literally just said the exact same thing. This is a funny thing with the Bob's Burgers one. So it is very strange how they seem to be doing this with this one. Of just like not, I think it depends where it is right now. That's going to be the issue. Is it on ITV or anything like that? It's all going to be all over the place. But yeah, I mean, I think we're going to end up getting to a line where we'll have, as these contracts run out, a lot more stuff's going to be moving over. Ricardo said, it's been announced that the Channel Marvel HQ from India is shutting down, but Disney is opening 16 new channels there. What is that about? Yeah, I saw something about this. So first off, I would imagine Marvel HQ, they don't want that branding around for what it is. The thing is with Disney channels is while they are obviously pushing on to digital and Disney Plus and the rest of it, there's still money to be made by running channels. There's still people paying for television networks. You know, if like the television providers are paying Disney to make them, doesn't necessarily mean any of it is original. It just reaches a different audience to Disney Plus. And while, yeah, in an ideal world, having Disney channels all disappear like it is in the UK, and you can only go for Disney Plus, is good. Disney also does need to kind of get that content out to people not on Disney Plus. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be getting all the new shows. It could be a year, 6 months, a year later, and it's just unexclusive stuff. But there's still an audience out there that doesn't have, you know, especially in India, if they're on just normal television or satellite, whatever, but they don't have high-speed internet or they can't watch it or anything like that, that does make a big difference because not everywhere does have high-speed internet to have Disney Plus. I don't think it's a bad idea to have a network to still keep running stuff if they're making money from it. Doesn't necessarily mean they can't they don't need exclusives or they can share their exclusives, but I do feel that, you know, having television channels necessarily isn't always a bad thing. You know, if they're making money from it, why not? I'm just having a quick look here. Okay, so let's have a look, see what else we've got. Okay, so Kaylee said, haven't watched Dope Sick on Hulu yet since I've been dealing with bad anxiety in the past few days, and the show might trigger. I think I'm better off settling down. It is if you're not so good on pain management, that's going to be one to watch. But I can't really say too much about the show yet, unfortunately. Joe said, could we ever see more Predator movies come into Disney Plus because they left Sky Cinema in July? You would imagine so, unless they're on Channel 4, because it wasn't. I think they've had some stuff recently. Frank said, could they at least add some 5 R-rated movies onto Disney Plus per year in the US until Star comes out? I don't think they necessarily can do. They can't add any R stuff. If they need to do R stuff on the US, I think they're better off starting off with some TV-14, get a little bit more that stuff on there rather than going straight into R. Maybe start with some National Geographic stuff. That might be a good way of kind of easing people into it. Ice Cream Man said, I understand Canada not getting a lot of shows because in Canada we have some US channels. See, this is the thing of why it doesn't all work out the same. Like here in the UK, we don't have a Disney channel and we don't have a Fox channel, but we still have some contracts with like the BBC. In Australia as well, they have some contracts with Foxtel and Binge, so they've got some different issues. So Joe said, I'm so glad American Horror Story Season 9 is finally available to stream in the UK. Love rewatching this. Yeah, I was going to mention that to my wife, that's on there for her to watch. I'm probably just going to dive straight into Season 10 when that drops. Stuart said Walt Disney World ABC's special is a good example. It's already on Disney Plus in the US, but not in the UK. Sometimes this can be down to maybe the rights for the singers and stuff, why they've not put it on there. That can be why some of those stuff doesn't necessarily, they might have only made a deal for it to be out there, so that can be a bit of an issue. Frank says, does aspect ratio change per region? Because the movie My Brother Chases Dinosaurs is 16:9 in Mexico, but in Spain it's the theatrical size. I don't know. I didn't realize. I mean, you might have a different file. That might be why. Maybe the Latin America is running on a different one. Lady Jennifer Snow said, Eliza Clark, the showrunner, has just announced that the show has just been cancelled by the... Do you know what? I literally saw that about 3 minutes before. I was just checking through Twitter before we went live just to kind of kill the last couple of 2 minutes, and I just saw it. So I am going to be right now, and I'm really disappointed because I know they had like a 5-year plan for that one. It's a shame really because it feels like it's and this is the problem now of like, now I know that it's cancelled, it's like do I carry on because I've been really enjoying it. It's a little bit slower, but yeah, it is a little bit of a shame that they're doing it. Ice Cream Man, he just said he just saw this pop up on Twitter and he likes the show as well, which I definitely think it is a shame that they have done that one. Frank said, how can Home Sweet Home Alone come to Disney Plus under the Fox banner, even though Fox still has a deal with... I believe that because this movie doesn't have a theatrical release, that's why they can scoot around the deal. The same thing happened with and Vacation Friends. I think the deal is they might have it might also be not in the contract because maybe the deal with they have a list of movies. I don't know, but my guess would be that they've been able to circumvent it because of that rule. I mean, looking at the numbers that like the last Jaws just brought, I think it was about 5 million. That's another story I'm going to be writing up this evening. Hasn't done too well at the box office. It's a shame. I'm a prime example of this. On Friday here in the UK, we had Venom come out. We had The Last Duel, and we had Ron's Gone Wrong. And it was a little bit on the lines of like, I do want to see those movies, but do I want to go cinema to see them? I was a bit like, I do want to see them, but they're not, like, especially Last Duel and Ron's Gone Wrong. I'm like, well, I can just wait. If I wait 6 weeks, it'll be on Disney Plus. So I decided that it just wasn't. And then a few people weren't too, so I was like, I might as well just wait. And same thing with French Dispatch. I might just wait for that because, yeah, I don't know. It's very strange. I mean, I should do reviews on them, but because they're not on Disney Plus yet, I thought, well, I shouldn't really do it. But yeah, there was a part of me that goes, yeah, no, I'll just leave them. What about you? Did you go and see any of those movies? I'd love to know your thought. So Joe said Bob's Burgers airs each year on Comedy Central. See, that might be the issue here in the UK. It depends on when their contract is up. Because I think Family Guy on ITV? I think that might have been it. Yep, so Ice Cream is showrunner said they're committed to finding a new home for the series. Okay. That's always a bit of a tricky one. Because that always comes across as would the same team still be making it, and would Disney have the distribution rights to it? But also, will anyone actually want to pick it up? Because if they haven't got access to the first season, it might, people, like Netflix and stuff, they only go after the big hitters, the ones that bring in some money. Look at The Right Stuff. That seemed to just, I don't know. They might find a home from it, but I don't know. It seems very unlikely to me. Kaylee said apparently India linear channels are still popular. It's not as everyone has broadband, but folks still. I do think that's 100% right, Kaylee. I think it's very easy sometimes for us to think of what it's like, where we live. That's like what everywhere's like, and unfortunately, that's not the case. And I still think linear channels are still important. I still think they're important to have. I still think Disney should have a channel to air Disney, just have one, have the ABC, get rid of a few of them, show some kids stuff in the morning, put some dramas on. It doesn't necessarily mean they all have to, they don't have to debut or anything, but still, it still feels like, it wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, like here in the UK, I mean, if they started licensing out some of the Disney Channel shows to like ITV and Channel 4 for Saturday and Sunday mornings, I don't think that would be a bad thing. Joe said, do you think we'll get the first Die Hard movie will come by Christmas to start this year, or any update on McEnroe First Class? McEnroe? I'm not sure quite what McEnroe is. But I think as far as Die Hard would be a great Christmas movie to drop in December. That would definitely be it. Ricardo said, it's been 1 year since Stumptown ended, was renewed for season 2, but ABC cancelled it because of 2020. They said they'll shop it around, but no news until today. Is in Canada is a Star original. Yes, it's not. I know they added it onto the UK recently. I don't know if it's technically a Star original here as well, but yeah, I think I can't see it coming back. I think they've it's been too long. John said, I hope Disney Plus Day is not like the DC fandom. Too much advertisement for products on there for a shop. I mean, I know it went on for about 3 hours. I caught the last 20-25 minutes. And it was like, here's some comic books, and here's some posters, and here's some hoodies, and here we're going to be talking about this show and this show. And it's like, oh, it's like, and I know a few people that were like watching it were like, just get to the good bits. There wasn't a lot of good bits. Disney, I would much rather they did I think it's something, and it's the same thing that happens normally like with E3 and stuff. I'd much rather have a short, bitey 40-50 minute hour presentation, just boom, 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 than 4 hours or 3-4 hours. Because I don't think Investors Day can be repeated this year at Disney Plus Day. I think it was a little bit too long last year, but also last year they kind of had to prove to shareholders that they were still making money, so they needed to kind of do something about it. So I think that's the thing. Ricardo said Home Sweet Home Alone is a Disney Plus original and is exclusive to the platform, so it does not apply. I think that's the deal. I think it's just because it's not being released in cinemas, they don't get the first right. Could Disney make a free version of Disney Plus? They probably could do. I don't think they'd want to. I don't see a reason why they'd. I mean, the only way they're going to do a free version of Disney Plus is adverts, and I don't want that. So how come Disney Plus Mexico placed all the Mafela 98 episodes under one season? That happens a lot. It actually happens a lot with UK shows as well. John said, a bit off topic, I just found it Disney Infinity still works on the PS4. I tried today and it works. Yeah, I would imagine it would do, because I had Disney Infinity 2 and 3 on the PlayStation 4. So yeah, it should do. I don't know if the first game does or not. I haven't tried. To be honest, I sold all my Disney Infinity stuff. If you didn't know, I actually used to do YouTube. I used to do a website with loads of Disney Infinity stuff. I used to do YouTube on that before I did this. This actual channel was actually had some Disney Infinity stuff on it. So yeah, it is a great game. It's just a shame they cancelled it. Okay, Johnson, I meant for X-Men First Class. Okay. Any update on the Roly Poly reboot for My VCR still works? Haven't heard anything about that one for a while. I mean, I'd imagine that now that the main series is on the US Disney Plus, it'll give it a bit of a boost on why it's not out everywhere else yet. Joe said, why isn't Bless the Hearts on the anime? Sometimes I really do question. Sometimes, well, that show looks really bad. The animation style just looks awful. I couldn't watch it. Yeah, why they're putting in their prime ones. Maybe they don't like it, so they've not put it in there. That's why. Joe said, I'm so excited for American Horror Story double feature. Can't wait. And Frank added, could Disney Plus Day ever happen again like every Christmas? It would. Christmas isn't a good time to do it, because the problem is, while we're all at home, the media and stuff wouldn't be. You need everyone in the offices or at home writing articles. Getting all that news out there. You need everyone. It's not just put a video on and. You're going to need people in the offices putting the videos up, putting the tweets up. And if everything's like pre-programmed in advance, I think having it on away from Christmas, because at that time, especially in the build up to that Christmas, the staff, most of the offices have shut down and stuff, and people just want some time off. So I don't actually think it's probably the best time to do it then. Okay, so we have a couple of other questions. So Joseph asked, will we ever get TV shows like extras as outtakes and commentary, like shows like Buffy, Angel, Desperate Housewives? Those extras need to be in there. As my favorite thing about TV DVDs, will Disney add them? It's a strange, really. Maybe when if Star goes out to the US, they might be more inclined to do it. I think at the minute they might not be quite so much inclined. I mean, I can see them putting in some extras on, but commentaries and stuff like that might just be a lot of work for what they think that, I don't know. It's very tricky. Maybe if it goes global, they can make it a little bit easier, but it does seem a little bit odd that they've not done that already. Okay, so we got one here from Caleb. So I noticed that Disney and Aniplex have teamed up for Wonderland anime since both Crunchyroll and Funimation shared the news. Do you see Sony and Disney expanding their partnership for more anime properties, with Funimation being the studio to dub the content for Disney Plus? I imagine it's because they've got to do it because the actual Analyte, or that company that makes the video game, is owned by Sony, so they might have the distribution right or some kind of rights to it. They could very easily. Sony are making stuff for people, so why not make them buy stuff for Disney Plus? I think it makes a perfectly good thing for them to do that. Would be to pay them to make it. And Connor said, are you feeling a sense of relief now that the ATSE, I keep wanting to say ATST, but it's not that, an AITSE strike has been averted for now? I'll be honest, I was a little bit relieved when I read that this morning when I woke up, because there was this kind of feeling of like, well, if they go on strike for like 2 months, what's gonna happen? Are we gonna run out of? Are they like, our shows like Hawkeye and stuff not gonna arrive because they've not finished the visual effects? Everything stops. Are we gonna get all the releases? There's a whole load of things of like, it's just kind of this knock-on effect of more delays, and it was like, oh, it's not just like now, but it's like in 3, 4, and 5 months' time. We're going to, in 6 months, 9 months down the line, we're getting all these delays of shows that should have come out months ago, but they can't, because I did have a feeling that they were going to have some kind of deal, because it didn't make they're all the studios right now. They can't afford to they've already lost a lot of time. So they really do feel, I just feel to me like it didn't make a lot of sense from the studio's point of view. And I'm going to be honest, what the union were asking for, to me, it's funny. I was looking yesterday on the UK list of, in our country, of some of the laws, and some of the stuff that they were asking for, like here in the UK, literally is like just law. It's just every business has to do it, not even just a union. It's just like it's standard to have so many hours break between a shift, so many times every 2 weeks, have to have 2 days off on a run, holiday pay, and a lot of the stuff that the union were asking for, to me personally, was just like, this is just standard stuff. They shouldn't even be needing to have a union. It should just be done, because while I'm not necessarily always a supporter of strikes, in this instance, I was very much along the lines of, these people need it. This is basic work. This is just basic rights. And I was really glad when they're still going to have a vote on it, and there could be a little bit more shuffle here and there, but at least for now, it has been pushed back. They're still going to have a vote on it, but generally, they have I suspect there'll be a bit more give and take over the next couple of weeks ahead. Thank you very much to Lady Jennifer Snow for your super sticker. Thank you so much for the super chat. That really makes a massive difference. It really helps, like I said, just keep everything going, and keep, just means a hell of a lot for that one. Right, let's see where we got on. I think that was all the ones on that page there. So let's now have a look, see what we've got in the live chat. Frank said, no, I mean like comparing yearly holidays like Christmas. Oh, I see. So he was on about doing like Disney Plus Day, like Christmas. I actually think November's not a bad time for doing it, because you're actually building up them for like the winter period where most people are watching television. So, and doing it on an anniversary, like Netflix and everyone can stay away from that date now, with it becoming an annual thing. So that would make sense. Ricardo said, I think the reason Star Ridges don't air simultaneous is because the dubbing process, Disney works with different dubbing stations that worked on Fox. I'd agree with that on some instance. And I could see why that might delay stuff, because if they have to get things to go out to all countries, like, if they're putting out in Spain, France, all the rest of it. But I don't think that should apply to, like, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK and Ireland, and in some respects Canada, but they do need the French version. It does feel a little bit like, the English version would be perfectly fine to have it on the same day here. That's the only. But the dubbing would make complete sense for like Italy, Spain, France, all the rest of it. So that would be a major issue why it could be delayed. But then a lot of these shows are made in advance, so but that definitely could be a very good reason. Ricardo said, I'm very surprised that Disney plus Japan announced they acquired so many famous animes for their platform. So technically, well, Disney's been doing they've been buying up third-party content. They've been having it here in the UK. They've been buying up some third-party content. I think they realized they needed to kind of boost up the international aspect to it a little bit quicker. Johnson, do you think we'll get the Logan Noir version on Disney Plus UK? Oh, is that they could do if they wanted to as a special, I suppose. I haven't really watched that one. Kelly said there were rumors that Disney would spin off ESPN. I know a spin off isn't a divestment, so Disney would still own it to some extent. So this one actually got. I saw this one yesterday, and I was thinking about trying to work out a way of like thinking about maybe an article or something, but then it actually got debunked by some of the bigger things, and it looks like there was a little bit of a push maybe just to see what the investment, what people thought of it. Disney are in this thing with ESPN right now where they still make a lot of money from the old way they've done it. They're still making loads of money, and ESPN was always where they used to make the money, and they used to bundle in the other channels with it and kind of had control over it. But unfortunately, it's just a shrinking market, and ESPN Plus, they can't get up. It's like what, $6.99, something like that now. It's not. They can't get the price up enough. So if they de-invest it, what they really want to do with the de-investing is they want to get much more into gambling, and they can't do that at the minute, I think, so much because of it's being under Disney. So yeah, so I do think I wouldn't be surprised. I know it's a big part of Disney, and I think if they de-invested it and turned it into a different company, it might work. But generally, I would say, yeah, it could be a little bit of a test just to see what's going on with that one there. Could be definitely a bit of a test. Okay. John said, any update on Peacock? I haven't heard anything about Peacock for quite a while, to be honest. Haven't heard anything. John went on to ask, is there next week the November schedule for the UK? Right. So normally what would tend to happen was on the 15th of the month, you tend to get an update from the US team. And that could be on the 15th. It could be up to the 20th. They weren't always bang on the 15th. Generally, it would be about midweek. So with the 15th dropping on the Friday, it was a bit like it was going to be, if they could do it, but it'll be a bit late to do it. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if the US list comes out on a Monday. However, last month, they threw all of that out the window. And I don't know if it was because of Disney Plus Day announcements, and they were much later. And so that then pushed everybody back, and it pushed back the whole, like the things with the UK one. So normally I would always say that the US list has to come first, but the UK list did come first last week. So I am expecting all of the announcements for the following month to be dropping next week. I think we'll be getting the US one, the UK one, and probably the Canada one all next week to kind of really kind of ramp up what's going on that one. So I would expect that next week. Right, huge super chat here from Ryan. So thank you very much for your super chat. Really means a lot. Appreciate that one. Why hasn't Last Man arrived on Disney Plus in Canada yet? So let's just have a look. I just have to check because what it might be. I'll just see where it is. I think it's on Cave, but I'm just going to check for you just to see where it is. Right. So it's on FX now in Canada. So that is why it's not on Disney Plus, because it's on FX now in Canada. So, again, and sort of Ice Cream Man popped in. The reason why I know is because the Canada version is on FX, so that's how I watch it. So that's totally. There are still some issues with the FX shows of the previous existing contracts, which are stopping things moving around as much. So that's why it's not arrived. You're seeing the same thing happen in Australia with some shows. All the FX shows end up going to binge. In Canada, they've not been arriving. And in the UK, we had some issues with like the BBC where some of the FX shows weren't dropping. So that's why it's not arrived in Canada, because you've got FX already. So it kind of makes sense for they need channels there. And until they close down that channel, they won't. That's probably why they still need some content. It probably will arrive very quickly. Right, so Frank said, in Mexico, the standard theatrical window is 14 days. Maybe the movie comes to home media. So would Disney shorten its window to Mexico? I wouldn't say they're going to go any shorter than 5 days. I think 5 days. Because the trouble is, once they put it out on the shorter version, what that means then is it's much more open for piracy. So they don't want it too quickly. Actually, 14 days sounds pretty good anyway. Joe said, why are Disney Channel shows not coming early internationally? We don't even have a Disney Channel anymore. The US still have one, and they have Disney. Don't be honest, it just makes no sense at all what they're doing. It seems to have improved in the last couple of weeks. I know there's somebody new running the Disney sort of running Disney. You're already seeing a difference with things like Under Wraps, and there was a Minnie Mouse special. A lot of the stuff that's dropping in October has been much faster than we've seen it before. And I think we're going to continue to see that. I mean, the ratings, I think, for Under Wraps were pretty bad on Disney Channel, which is a shame, but it makes sense what's going on with kids not watching terrestrial. Why they're not doing it internationally, again, whether or not we seem to be a little bit better with like Under Wraps, where we all got it at the same time. Hopefully they can sort this thing out so they can start. To me, it seems like a wasted opportunity of them not being able to use this content to push Disney Plus in just general, of saying, you've got all this original content that they're just hiding and dumping away. It really is so. But I think a lot of it is the Disney Channel was still separate, and so they didn't want to cross over with Disney Plus. And when the channel shut down, Disney Channel still had like control of everything, and things seem to have improved. I mean, this month is much better than it's been previously. So I think we are going to be getting a lot of an issue with that one. Okay, so here we go. So John said, I hope Disney do what next for doing a coming soon section. Yeah, it'd be good. I mean, we've been saying that for 2 years. You can, I don't know why they don't do it. Right, so Frank said the piracy is common in Mexico, so understandably why Disney is not going to go. It's not just that, it's you put it on in Mexico, it then goes around the world. And that's why a lot of the studios and stuff were not so, the whole 45-day thing came about was because like Black Widow was so heavily pirated because you could get a really good version on Disney Plus. And HBO, I think, once they're done with their movies this year, they're going to be changing over to it. So you're not going to be getting as many as they normally do. Okay, so let's shift over here now and have a look at, and let's see what other questions we had. So Mick said he wanted to know what the PGA in after the producer. And this is one I was going to look at because I was thinking of Golf. I was just like, so PGA is Producers Guild of America. So basically, it probably just means then that they are a member of that. So when a PGA, known as Producers Mark, shows up after a production's name, it signifies that the producer so designated actually did the work of producing the movie. Basically, just it says that they're a member of that group. So that's what that one there is. Frank says it turns out that Star Plus will launch in is it Antigua this December, even though the territory is in the UK. How does it's not technically kind of, while it's a territory of the UK, it's not part of the UK. It's kind of its own separate little thing. Okay, and let's see what other ones we've got in here. Would you consider something from 2019 as new? Basically, anything that's new is, that's been there. That's the kind of thing for me. Right, let's have a look here. So John said, any update on Malcolm in the Middle coming to Disney Plus in the UK? Haven't heard anything yet. Generally, we don't hear anything really very often in advance. They very much keep everything on their chest. I'm just going to see. I think it's been on. See where it is at the minute. It is. I don't think notified. Malcolm in the Middle is not available streaming, so hopefully it will come soon because I think it was available. I know in the US it went to IMDb and it's recently been on like Channel 4 and stuff. Another thing Disney Plus is having in-house subtitles within the app instead of using device captions. Yeah, I mean, I've never used that option, so it would be definitely worth. I think they're just trying to work out how they're doing all of this. Dana said, I bought a subscription with ExpressVPN, so it made my Disney Plus have Star and able to watch Free Guy, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, the only thing is if you are on a US account and you do try to access outside of the US, you will be restricted to like a limit of 14. So that is something just to be aware of, just to say. So Stuart said, should Disney make more of an effort with regards to library content coming onto Disney Plus? I think they should put the Muppets at Walt Disney World Plus. House of the Mouse. I'm going to be honest, this is a show that is just like, for the last 2 years, has just been every day, every single day, multiple times a day. I get people like tweeting, messaging, commenting about House of Mouse. When's House of Mouse coming on? When's House of Mouse coming on? And I really do want them to put it on there as soon as possible because it's one of those shows. It's just like it used. The Roly Poly was one. There's been a few over the years, but House of Mouse is the one that I would say so many people want to see on there. The problem is with regards to legacy content. First off, it doesn't drive subscriptions as much as we all think it does. And them putting on a random cartoon from the 90s or whatever it came out really isn't going to move the needle. It's not going to bring anybody new in. It might keep people engaged, but it's not. The other problem is they have to make sure they've got streaming rights to it. They might have the distribution rights, but they might not necessarily have the rights to put it streaming. There might be contracts in place. For example, music, they have to make sure they've got the rights to use the music. They might have to pay someone to do it. And it's very much that kind of thing of, it is very tricky. It is a very tricky situation it's not as easy as we think it is. They've also got to make sure they've got dubbing. They've got to make sure they have got subtitles. They've also got to make sure it's in high enough quality, like HD. It's not just, it's very, very tricky for them. It's not just a case of putting it on there. of why they're on there. So Kaylee does bring up a good point. I remember Cord Cutting News discouraging folks from using VPN on their questions and answers since they can violate terms of services. And that is true. That is a thing of using VPNs to get around and watching stuff on Disney Plus and like Netflix. A lot of them I've been doing a lot of work to kind of circumvent it. I think it definitely is one of those things of, it depends what you're using it for. For me, the kind of, if you're paying access to get access to something, if you're paying the company, it's a little bit different. But generally, it is always worth noting there that using VPNs and stuff is circumnavigating rules and all the rest of it. So it's definitely it's not something you should be doing, but it is obviously an option. But it's not perfect. It doesn't work. It doesn't work great. I'll be honest. So John said, "Is Jojo Rabbit ever coming to Disney Plus in the UK?" And I was funny. It's funny because you mentioned like the thing there of like you put star at the end, and it's so funny how like Disney has just been like dropping that branding like something silly. It just doesn't seem to be mentioned. Right, so currently it is on Virgin Media. So it's available on Sky Cinema. So it looks like at the minute it will be coming on there, but it has to leave where it is right now. It is, while it's still available on other streaming services, it can't pop up anywhere. So that's why that one's not there. Okay, quick note, we've got about 5 minutes more left, so I'm going to do these last questions. So Ricardo said Disney Plus wants to give the impression that they have Disney content forever, and if they announce that they would retire some content, it would feel right. Well, the trouble is with this whole thing of Disney content forever, they never said that, and they don't actually say that. It's kind of been like an urban myth or like an assumption that's been made. Nowhere in their marketing did they ever say that you're going to have access to this forever. They've never said you're going to have access to everything they've ever made. They said the vote will be open and then the Disney classics will be there. But they were very, very tricky with. There's been a lot of like work. People are taking assumptions, and I've been seeing this for the last 3 years with Disney Plus of people kind of saying, "Well, they said So the CEO said we want to put everything on there." He said that like a year before Disney Plus even launched, and obviously contracts and there's a lot of issues that a lot of people don't that come into it, and it's not just a case, like I said, of taking a disc off the wall and plugging it into Disney Plus, and that's the end of it. There's a lot of legal issues and technical issues, money issues, and this thing of they can have the forever content is. If you've ever played a mobile game, ever played a mobile app, no format is forever. I have brought movies on Betamax, VHS, Laserdisc, video CD. I think I picked up a few of them for a while. I had HD DVD. I've had Blu-ray. I've had digital. Nothing is. It's definitely not a case of everything is always available. I mean, you just had it there. And when it takes longer for Disney Plus to find dubbing, they just produced a new one. Something happened with an Brazilian dub of the complete. So if they've got to completely redo the dubbing, that costs money. And the question is that content of value enough to bring it in? Now, I would say Buffy and Angel are probably worth it. But some of these shows are just, they're just not financially just not viable. So for example, just to buy a film on iTunes it's just a long rental. Yeah, iTunes could go tomorrow. Google Play could go tomorrow. I'm definitely at an age now where I do not. Nothing is forever. I've had way too many games. Disney Infinity is a prime example. I used to sit there and spend many hours building toy boxes and sending them up to the cloud, and then people could play them. And I even got listed a couple of times in the top 5 ones of the week, but it's all gone now. It doesn't exist. It's just, and that was a game called Disney Infinity, which means it never went. And like Katie said, nothing is forever, and content can always be altered. I still remember Aladdin had a contract advising before them. It still does. It's funny because that was added like nearly 2 years ago now, and I think it's a good idea for them to have it on there. But yeah, I think there is an assumption that it's this kind of Disney Plus could close. It wasn't. I don't think it was on the DVD, but then it kind of goes. I think right now, I think everyone's a lot more aware of it. If they released it now, they probably would have it on there. Right. Okay. So last question. So Joe said, "I hope The Great Showman comes soon to Disney Plus." Me too. I really want to watch that one again. I have actually got the soundtrack in the car at the minute, so every time there's nothing on the radio, I end up having that one on. Right. Okay. Well, I think that pretty much is going to wrap up all of our content for this week. In terms of, that's my dog telling me it's time to go. Joe said, "I love the content Disney releases each week. It's definitely different compared to what we had. The addition of star really does make such a difference." Right. On that note, guys, thank you very much for joining me in this one. Thank you very much to Ryan and Lady Jennifer Snow for the super chat. I really appreciate that. On that note, guys, thank you very much. See you guys soon. Laters. I'd like to thank all of our Patreon and YouTube channel members for their support. You can become a member from as little as $2 a month and you get access to our weekly Q&A and much more.